divide the land, the property, inheritance, and give it to him. So sure enough, the younger son, when he turned 18, he says, Dad, I want my money, give me my inheritance. His dad actually pleaded with him, saw that his son was still immature, and he says, hey, please give us some time, son, just hang out with me a few more years, let's kind of develop, let's grow, and then, I'll give it. He says, no, a promise is a promise, I want it now. So reluctantly, true story, the dad writes a check, millions of dollars. And so he did what any freshman would do at 18. He took the money. He says, I'm getting as far away from here as I can from my dad and his rules as possible as I can. He jumps on a train. He goes to New York City. He goes to New York City. He starts spending his money. He's throwing it away. He's grabbing the nicest sports car he can get. He grabbed all kinds of buddies. Of course, you got buddies when you got money. He gets this big elite penthouse, right? Top high rises. He's getting every relationship that money could buy. Unfortunately, it led to alcohol problems, gambling problems. Before long, he spent more money than he began to accrue debt. He couldn't pay it off. Creditors come after him. He had to move out of the penthouse. He had to let go of the sports car. And before he knew it, he's on the Upper East Side of New York wandering the streets. His alcoholism got to the point where he's pilfering the garbage cans, trying to find bottles that had remnants of alcohol just so he could get a drink. He's now got STDs from all the immoral living that he picked up. He's got sores on his bodies. His friends left him. And then one day it became a reality check. Quote, he came to his senses. He said, if I don't do something about this now, I'm going to die here on the streets. So he managed to bum some money off a couple of his friends to buy a train ticket back to Salinas, California. And he thought, if I can only get back to my dad, I can just start over. So he takes the train ride. A couple days pass. He finally winds up in Salinas. He gets off the train. He walks into the square. He realizes, wait a second, man, there's no way I can see my dad face to face. There's no way he's going to accept me back after what I did. He's just going to say, I told you so. So he goes into this cafe. He begins to weep and think about what he's doing. He decides to write a letter to his dad. And when he finished, he goes out in the streets. He finds one of his dad's farm workers. He gives him the letter and says, will you take this to my dad because I can't bear to see him right now. So the farmer takes the letter to the dad. And he said in the letter, Father, I realize what I've done. I've wasted not only your money, but my life, which was important to you. I can't even begin to tell you about the awful things I've done. I'm embarrassed. I'm at the end of my rope. I know nothing else but to ask you if I could return home. I know there's no reason why you would accept me back, but I plead and beg with you that if you would, even as hire me as a farm worker on your land, accept me back. I'll do anything, no pay, just room and board. And he said, Father, I've just enough money to take the train that passes by our ranch in front of the apple orchard near the edge of the property. I'm going to go by there on the train tomorrow at 1 p.m. And if you would accept me back, I would ask that you just simply drape one old sheet over one of the trees nearest to the railroad, and as I'm passing by, I'll see the signal and I'll know you accepted me to come home. If the sheet's not there, I won't stop at the train station. I'll just keep on going. I can't bear to see you face to face. I don't have the courage. I've done too much. I have no idea what's going to happen with the rest of my life. Your son. Now imagine being in that position. He's sleepless the whole night. He's filled with anxiety. Again, this is a true story. The next morning, he jumps on the train, and as soon as he got to the train, he walked to the very back of the train. He sat down next to this old guy. He just put his face in his hands and began to weep, contemplating what he may or may not see. He began to share with the old man a story about the things he had done and how he was trying to come back, and soon enough, the train was getting ready to pass outside that edge of the town where the ranch was, and so he looked at the old man. He says, can you do me a favor? Can you just go to the window and just tell me if you see one sheet anywhere in the apple orchard? I just can't bear to look. So the old man jumps up and he went to the window. He looks out, and then he looked back at the young man. And he says, I think you need to come see for yourself. And when he jumped up, he went to the window and he looked out, and behold, as far as the eye could see for 5 square miles, there was a sheet on every tree saying, come home, son. He says the Bible says that God has loved us with an everlasting love, a compassionate love. In essence, God's saying, you want to know how much I love you? Is the sun not enough? Is the moon not enough? Is the food and shelter you have not enough? Is the air you breathe not enough? Then how about this? How about I send my son to die a horrible death in your place so you could be with me forever? That's compassion. That's love. That's what God did. But there's one missing element. It wasn't for his own son. It was for people like us. Enemies, ungodly, sinners, wanted nothing to do with him. Who hated his guts, nailed him to a cross. And even after getting saved, we have the audacity to keep on sinning, myself included. And yet he says, you know what? I'm going to have compassion on you. I'm going to show pity. I'm not going to give you what you deserve. And I'm going to make a way that as fast as you do it, delete. Isn't that amazing? I'll take that any day of the week over, oh yeah, you can be a tree or a flea, and you can identify with a cat, and then that's the message of love that the world gets to hear from the church. Are you? Whoa.